Hey, this is Anita Hales, and I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about talking to strangers and how that's become something that we just don't do anymore. It's so easy these days to be on your phone or be plugged in, have earbuds on, headphones on, and just ignore everybody around you. So talking to strangers is becoming a lost art. But I say it's time we started talking to each other again. And so I'm going to talk about the benefits of talking to strangers and how to do it. So we live in a world where we hear lots of things about the dangers of allowing strangers in our midst. This has created a world of isolation out of fear. Perhaps we should be cautious, but there are many places where you can safely talk to others. And small talk has become a lost art that should be reawakened. People are everywhere you go. There was a study done at the University of British Columbia that showed that striking up a conversation with strangers at the grocery store, the coffee shop, gas station, or big box store increases a person's feeling of happiness. How often have you gone to the grocery store and started talking to somebody and you went in for one thing and end up being in there for half an hour talking to people? It's a great place to connect with people, and you'll come out feeling a little bit happier. And it doesn't really matter if you talk to somebody you know or a complete stranger. And people can feel better understood when telling strangers about their lives. I've been a bus driver for many, many, many years, and in my experience, people tend to talk to bus drivers. They tell more about their situation to a stranger than they would to a close friend, because they feel close friends don't need explanations. But the truth is that going into detail about what's going on in your life helps a person evaluate your situation a little bit better, and you can actually resolve a lot of conflicts by just talking. And so bus drivers and bartenders and other people in public places that are in contact with the public tend to become good listeners. And talking to strangers lessens boredom. I noticed I drove school bus for a long time, and kids on a school bus, boy, after school, I'll tell you, they are so noisy and loud and talking to each other and laughing and having a good time. But you get a bunch of adults on a transit bus, and it's zip quiet. Nobody says anything, and it's almost kind of scary that they're not talking to each other. But people that do talk to each other, it tends to lessen a lot of boredom. And I notice that if somebody starts talking on a bus, pretty soon other people are contributing. And talking to strangers combats fear. A lot of our problems with racial tensions and cultural tension can just be added up to one thing: we just don't communicate with each other. The more people talk to each other and communicate, the less misunderstanding there is. Listening to others' opinions and sharing ours widens our perspective, as long as it doesn't turn into a big fight, and it doesn't have to. People tend to realize that people in other walks of life have the same feelings and challenges as everyone else. So just acknowledging someone else makes you and them feel human. Everybody laughs about when you say, "Hello, how are you?" and everybody says automatically, "Fine," whether they are fine or not. Of course, you will get that rare person that will go into detail about how they really are, but that's okay, because that's what makes us human beings. So I'm going to tell you 4 little things you can do to help make it easier for you to conduct a conversation with a stranger. And you may be actually doing this already. Some people are just kind of born doing it, but other people may need to be taught how to do it. Pardon my little dog, she's complaining to me down here. But anyway, first thing to do is to make eye contact. Put away your cell phone, unplug your earbuds, close your book, and set everything else aside and look a person in the eye when you're talking to them. Nothing makes me more crazy than to have somebody get on the bus or walk by or go to the checkout counter and just completely ignore me as a human being. And make a compliment. There's tons of ways you can compliment somebody. You can compliment them on what they're wearing, or maybe something that you see them doing. There's just any number of things. Just look at somebody and think to yourself, what can I compliment that person on? And you can get really creative, and even the most disheveled and weird-looking person, you can find something to compliment them on, like, oh, hey, that's a nice tattoo, or whatever. And compliment on something you both can see. Weather, road conditions, what's in the newspaper, what's on the radio. There's all kinds of things that you might have in common with somebody that you can talk about. That's pretty easy. And then the last thing that's a little bit harder, compliment on something personal to yourself. Open up and talk about things going on in your life, and you will often find common ground with someone else and be able to strike up a conversation and actually make a new friend. Well, I appreciate you listening to me today, and I hope this has been helpful to you. Get out there and talk to somebody, and please subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for my next episode. This is Anita Hales signing off.